May nota sa hearing sa paano. Tatay dito. Ay! Asan to? Wow. Yan, okay na.
Wala naman boss, ma.
Ha? Unsay? Wala, uy. Oh, mag-post pwede naman to. Nga naman tong lahi lagi ang porma sa swimming pool dong. Kumusta?
Unsa?
Sige mo live. Sige mo live god. Unsa?
Unsa ma?
Unsa may nga?
Ikaw ba ang usim gingot?
Ay, naay ga comment. I-post na lagi na basta sa imuha gikan, imuha gid ang kuan original. Dili ka manguha og video sa lain. Hello everybody. Shouty.
Mama. Kung isa sa video nagpapakapit 1K viewers.
Unsa?
Kapit 1K viewers.
O gani daghan bitaw tag views. Bantay bitaw ko.
Mag-ibalik ko ni mama.
Oo.
Ay gi-subscribe di ay gi-subscribe ba?
Asa na ka tong April kahapon? Nagko-comment. Sige na, babay na. Hmm.
Relax pa.
Matulog na rin pagkaman na, kapit as may biya. Hindi naman nakagatas. Ha?
Ganyan mo ko. Ganyan mo ko.
Sige. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Two people. Yes, what's wrong? I need to,
Kapoy ko eh.
ano,
Chris, kapoy kaya kung sakit ka kung ito.
you
Akong lower back.
witnessed the hearing of
No?
Duterte.
O ba? Sakit sa likod eh. Of course, ano may ginaglaban? Basta lumalaban ka sa bayan, masakit lahat. Sinabi mo pa. Pangalawang power bank ko na to guys ha. Kaufman, oh, grabe ka bro. Gusto na ko mangayon sa whole speech ni Kaufman ba? Para i-post na to, yun sa inyong pag-storya.
Who had deemed our client a suspected murderer as far back as 2018 and right up to the very day before this pre-trial chamber issued its arrest warrant. Your Honours, over the next few days, we hope to convince you of the wholly insufficient nature of the evidence against Rodrigo Duterte. We will show you that the paltry number of speeches on which the prosecution rely do not manifest criminal intent. We will also convince you that as hard as they tried, the prosecution's investigators couldn't get even one of its criminal cooperating witnesses, whose reliability is next to zero, to admit that they heard the former president, Rodrigo Duterte, give an order to kill at any time relevant to the charges, or with respect to any of the incidents. And we hope that when you conclude your deliberations, Your Honours, that you will dismiss these grievously misplaced and politically motivated charges. We will ask you to send Rodrigo Duterte back to his family, and we will ask you to give back to the Filipino people their tatay digong. Thank you, Your Honours.
Ano to?
The presiding judge. Thank you very much, Mr. Kaufman. We shall now suspend. This is the end of
Na.
initial statements, and this is the end of this morning's hearings. We will take a 90-minute break and resume at 2 in the afternoon. Thank you very much.
Tapos na ba eh? Ulitin natin yan ba?
Britain. Your Honours, the picture on the front cover of that
decision. This brings us to the end of the summary of the appeals chambers of the
a
summary.
book on which the prosecution relies as evidence. A trashy, scurrilous item of pulp fiction entitled Duterte Harry. Your Honours, the picture on the front cover of that book says it all. It really does scream objectivity, doesn't it? I say that sarcastically, of course. Fortunately for us, the defence, the appeals chamber, has now disqualified Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan from this case. A welcome development as a matter of ethical propriety, but in our opinion, too late in the day to salvage the integrity of the investigation that he had supervised. An investigation in the course of which he concealed his former role as the victim's counsel, who had deemed our client a suspected murderer as far back as 2018 and right up to the very day before this pre-trial chamber issued its arrest warrant. Your Honours, over the next few days, we hope to convince you of the wholly insufficient nature of the evidence against Rodrigo Duterte. We will show you that the paltry number of speeches on which the prosecution rely do not manifest criminal intent. We will also convince you that as hard as they tried, the prosecution's investigators couldn't get even one of its criminal cooperating witnesses, whose reliability is next to zero, to admit that they heard the former president, Rodrigo Duterte, give an order to kill at any time relevant to the charges, or with respect to any of the incidents. And we hope that when you conclude your deliberations, Your Honours, that you will dismiss these grievously misplaced and politically motivated charges. We will ask you to send Rodrigo Duterte back to his family, and we will ask you to give back to the Filipino people their tatay digong. Thank you, Your Honours.
The presiding judge. Thank you very much, Mr. Kaufman. We shall now suspend. This is the end of initial.
And I thank Mr. Tuyan for his intervention, but I feel that I ought to remind him that this is a court of law which decides. And I thank Mr. Tuyan for his intervention, but I feel that I ought to remind him that this is a court of law which decides matters on the basis of evidence, not on the basis of political demagoguery, and not on the basis of a desire to effect regime change despite the democratic will. And certainly not on the basis of statements made by Ombudsman Jesus Crispin Remula, who professed that domestic justice would be denied, according to Mr. Butuyan, because of the lack of forensic reports and police reports. Now, I don't know which case Mr. Butuyan's metaphorical ship sailed into, but he clearly hasn't read the evidence. Whilst he was speaking, we examined the evidence, and out of that evidence, we found at least 35 reports substantiating 49 of the incidents which are mentioned in the document containing the charges. Your Honours, Rodrigo Duterte was and will always remain a unique phenomenon. His style of statesmanship was novel and unpalatable to many. His expletives and hyperbole grated, while his honesty and wild popularity irritated. He spoke openly, from the heart, sincerely and truthfully. And what a contrast between him and his successor in the Malacanang. For President Rudy, his word was his word, and the people knew it. For President Bongbong, his word is for the wind, and the people will not forget it. Let me remind everyone of the letter which President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. signed, it's on the screen, and in which he gave a cast-iron undertaking that his government, and I quote, will not assist the ICC in any way, shape or form. Well, as we know, he failed to keep that promise. Rodrigo Duterte was unconstitutional and unceremoniously hauled off to The Hague. And when called upon to defend his master's actions and the said letter at a Senate committee hearing, the then Secretary for Justice, once again, Mr. Jesus Crispin Remula, persisted with the same dishonest theme. And I quote his words, "We did not assist the ICC, we continue with the very technical letter, we did not assist the ICC, and we did not have any contact with them." So he said, but with a document emanating from the prosecution team opposite and disclosed to us a mere week ago, not as information material to the preparation of our defense, but as exonerating evidence, we can now substantiate what we have suspected for a long time. The document comprises a transcript of a telephone call covertly recorded between 4 parties who cannot be mentioned in public, and one of these parties was boasting about how he was acting as the silent partner of President BBM, managing a scheme to funnel witnesses to this court while all the time ensuring that he could guarantee President BBM's plausible deniability. So it is indeed the defense case that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. set out to neutralize Rodrigo Duterte and his legacy. Yes, Mr. Deputy Prosecutor, I used that legendary word, neutralize, so central and so essential to your case theory, because you know just as well as me that I'm using the term metaphorically. And now I turn to the substance of the charges, but before I do, a word or two about the geopolitical context. The scourge of illegal narcotics is not unique to the Philippines. As we all know, it afflicts Latin America, where I can name 3 countries where the death rate at the hands of vigilantes and law enforcement agents per capita population is higher than it ever was under Duterte. And as you should know, and you will hear from the prosecution, at any rate, the Philippines as a country is uniquely positioned to act as a transit hub for the trafficking of narcotics emanating from the cartels in China. And with or without Duterte, so we argue, the death rate would have kept on rising. Indeed, as we will prove with statistics and reports, the death rate flowing from narcotics-related crime actually increased after Rodrigo Duterte left. Council rose up. Things. And where, I ask you, has the International Criminal Court been signaled that Rodrigo did anything the totally lawful Duterte campaign against illegal drugs and their suppliers took place when his administration was legislative reform in 2017 to reduce personal income taxes for workers, social protection expansion known as the 4Ps, designed to provide regular cash transfers to needy and multi-child families, universal health care, and need I say more, the Magna Carta of the poor, setting out the right to adequate food, decent shelter, education, and the highest standard of health. The fact that the majority of those who died as a result of drug-related crime were living in the most deprived areas is something which is endemic to every afflicted society. But can anyone seriously accuse this man? This is the man who at the age of 5 arrived in Davao to live in a modest shack where rain leaked through the roof, forcing him to crawl under the kitchen table to take shelter. This is not the man born with a silver spoon in his mouth and groomed for the presidency from
Nako
childhood.
diri sa Macau.
This is the man who was born to a lawyer
Nalagyan
and a
ko sa
governor
Macau.
who taught him discipline, values, and respect for the people by being one of the people. This is the man who, as president himself,
Nako diri Macau.
shunned the luxuries and the privileges of high office, and like others before him, and even those after him, he slept not in the palatial grandeur of the Malacanang, but in Spartan quarters of his bodyguard's hut. His diet consisted not of prime cuts of imported Australian beef, but of dried fish and boiled rice. A man of simple indulgences, his pleasures were to be found not on the cocktail party circuit of Forbes Park, but on coastal roads where he roamed and cruised on his motorcycle, not looking for people to kill, Mr. Prosecutor, but but almost killing himself because of his love for speed. This is the man who paid and paved his way through law school, passing his bar exam in 1972, more or less on the same day as Marcos Sr.'s tanks were grinding and rolling their way through the streets after the declaration of martial law. And it was on that significant day that Rodrigo Duterte was exposed to the tyranny of oppression and the abuse of power by the elite. And he took a decision. On that day, he chose to devote himself to a life of selfless public service. As a professor at the local police academy and as a public prosecutor in Davao, Rodrigo Duterte developed a lifelong passion, some would say an enduring obsession, for law and order, something for which he unapologetically enforced throughout his time as mayor of Davao City. Not, as the prosecution say, through sowing murder and mayhem, but through winning the love, respect, and admiration of his fellow citizens. The very same citizens who continue to re-elect him time after time, term after term, on no less than 7 occasions over more than 2 decades. And throughout his 20 or so years tenure as the mayor of Davao, Rodrigo Duterte and his family transformed that city from an outpost of communist insurgency and criminal violence into what is now one of the safest cities, not just in the Philippines, but in the entire world. This was indeed the so-called Davao model, which the prosecution wants to persuade you was code for unbridled criminal violence. And this was the type of leader that the Filipino nation wanted in 2016. So, Rodrigo Duterte was elected into power, not in spite of, but specifically because of his firm and uncompromising commitment to upholding law and order. And after his election as president, Rodrigo Duterte remained a man of the people, without seeking to patronize the people. Gung-ho in his ways and with a belligerent tone, he spoke the tough tongue of the street. Not the dissembling discourse of international diplomacy. He said what the people wanted to hear, but he said it in a way that offended sensibilities of world leaders unaccustomed to hearing it, one in particular, and that was what set him on the slippery slope to a prison cell in The Hague. And let me tell you how it works.
Ha?
It starts with the media.
Hindi ka pa nanonood ng fireworks?
Meron ba?
Meron.
Hindi ko alam.
Alas 9.
Manood ako?
Wala na alas 9. Anong oras no?
Ngayon ka pa magsabi. Hindi ko alam talaga. Saan ka? Saan ka? Sino kasama mo nun ba? Sino nagpicture mo nun? Sino kasama mo nun?
Ako eh.
Tinatanong nga ni Mai kung sino daw kasama mo. Kung sabo ni mo si Mai?
Sekreto para baby.
Di ikaw na. Sana all pwede makipag-date.
Ikaw nga, pwede ka man galing makipag-sex.
Sa?
Ikaw nga, pwede ka makipag-sex eh.
Malamang.
Oo nga eh.
Gwapo ka daw doon.
Pinamit lang ako eh.
No. Mm. Hello po. Tagasanda. Jonathan, hello. Ate Susan. Susana. Shout out.
Sorry, pabalik na ako.
Sobra, sobra.
Uy, Chong! Shout out! Basta, Chong? Chong. Say ato, Chong. Naman gina, Chong. So, may atong giagwanta. Ang kagutom. Ano sa may giagwanta na to? Ang kakapoy? Chong, unsa man? Sugod na ata. Sabi? Kuan guys, diba? Naminaw ko sa kuan ganang kuan ni Tatay Digong ba? Live. Kanta-kanta man ko, wala lang ka. Kanta-kanta ko. Nya sige mo kog live on sa diha. Busy kayo ko. Update ba update? Salamat sa thumbs up.
Ikaw nang mainsultuhan tang mga Bisaya nga mga bulok ta kay magbinulok manggod ta.
我至今为止还没有见过。
Wa gini si Jam eh.
We will ask you to send Rodrigo Duterte back to his family, and we will ask you to give back to the Filipino people their tatay igong. Thank you, Your Honors. We will ask you to send Rodrigo Duterte back to his family, and we will ask you to give back to the Filipino people their tatay igong. Thank you, Your Honors.
Why the hell you say nothing? Sorry, I was listening to the hearing of our president, you know. Snia, are you feeling in hell? You just look at my beauty, you know. Just look at my beauty and you will know the answer. Oh, you're so confused. Oh my god. Ay. Alexa. outside. What's wrong with you, Mama? Asa naman to eh? Newswatch. 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 Wala pa yung live. Sige, wala sa mag-start. Wala pa ba yun? Nag-start na.
With as Alliance 82 in 83. And elected he was. And becoming president on the 13th of June 2016, this provided him with the opportunity to follow through with his promise and to expand extrajudicial killings of alleged criminals beyond Davao and across the rest of the Philippines. He did this through the implementation of the National Anti-Illegal Drug Campaign, better known as Duterte's War on Drug, and its project, Double Barrel. This will carry out by the national network consisting of law enforcement personnel working together with non-police assets and hitmen. Mr. Duterte authorized murder and personally selected some of the targets. During the mayoral period, when he was mayor, his clearance was required for the DDS to carry out the killings. Essentially, members of the DDS needed Mr. Duterte's green light to murder. And during the presidential period, Mr. Duterte has continued to personally identify some of the targets, including by publicly naming those he claimed were involved in illegal drug trade or in other forms of criminality. He also identified targets by holding up a list containing their name. And if you are on the list, you will be killed. And this was a word of one prosecution witness. And this evidence can be found at tab 54 of the prosecution list of materials. ERN PHL OTP 00015 page 0009, and the relevant lines are 260 to 261. Mr. Duterte provided moral and financial support to the direct perpetrators as well. In a 12 December 2016 speech, Mr. Duterte admitted that he used to ride around Davao on a motorcycle looking for trouble, so he could kill. And he said, and this again his own word I'm quoting here, In Davao, I used to do it personally, just to show the guy that if I can do it, why can't you? These are his own words. And this code can be found at tab 16.1 of the prosecution list of material, ERN PHL OTP 000015547 at 0002 lines 7 and 8. And the evidence show that Mr. Duterte's Davao City Mayor office provided some member of the DDS with a regular salary. Financial rewards were also given to direct perpetrators in the form of cash per head for killing. And at a press conference in 2013, Mr. Duterte stated that shoot to kill orders and reward are, and I quote here, are legitimate tools of government to fight lawlessness. This is his own word. And if he surrendered to me or his carcass dead, then
and that was what he boasted.
Double the price. And again, and that was what he boasted. This code can be found at tab 17.2 of the prosecution list of materials, PHL-OTP 000094932 at 0002, and the relevant lines are lines 7 to 11. Deaths of drug personalities killed in anti-drug operation were endorsed by Mr. Duterte's administration and listed as official accomplishment in public reporting. Your Honors, as you will have the confirmation brief, Mr. Duterte also provided the direct perpetrators with weapons, ammunition, and logistical support to facilitate the commission of the charged crime. And he also had wide control over those crimes. And let me now turn specifically to that control. As mayor of Davao and later as president of the Philippines, Mr. Duterte wielded ultimate influence and authority over the physical perpetrators of the crimes. As mayor, Mr. Duterte was chief executive of the Davao city government, with responsibility for exercising general supervision and control over all its activities. He had formal operational supervision and control over National Police Unit in Davao. As creator and head of the DDS, he also had de facto control over the death squad's members. When Mr. Duterte became president on the 30th of June 2016, he sat at the very apex of the political power structure in the Philippines. He became the head of state, head of government, and commander-in-chief of all armed forces of the Philippines. He also became the leader of the country's police forces. This level of authority allowed him to wield de jure and de facto control over those implementing the common plan nationwide. Mr. Duterte's control over the crime is also apparent from his ability to interrupt their commission when he so chooses. And as outlined in our reconfirmation brief, he successfully suspended police anti-illegal drug operation on at 2 occasions following public outcries in response to 2 particularly notorious killings. On both occasions, the number of reported killings dropped significantly during the suspension, showcasing his control. So when he asked people to act, they act. When he asked them to refrain, they do so. So they obey. So Mr. Duterte was well aware of the authority he had over the perpetrators. In a speech given to the National Bureau of Investigation in November 2016, he expressly acknowledged his position of power. And this is what he said. To the military, I am commander-in-chief. On the civilian side, I am the chief executive of the government. And when talking about the police, this is what he's saying. They are my subordinate, and I am ultimately responsible for their deeds. And these are quotations, and they can be found at tab 131.2 of our prosecution list of materials at ERN PHL-OTP-00095-679, page 0004, and the relevant lines are from 131 to 134.
Saan?
And the direct perpetrators complied with Duterte's order and respected his authority. Mr. Duterte was respected by the physical perpetrators. He was feared, and his order and instruction were obeyed. One insider witness explicitly says that the police killed, and I quote, because of the directive of the president. This is what the witness said, an insider. And this quote can be found at tab 120 of the prosecution list of materials, ARN PHL OTP -00088-631-R01, page 66, and the relevant line are from 2304
Hello
to
everyone.
2306. And this statement is corroborated by other statements we are also provided. And some direct perpetrator complied because of their blind loyalty to Mr. Duterte. Some did it out of fear, and others were encouraged to comply by promises of money and rewards. For some,
Shout out, Habi.
killings reached the level of a perverse form of competition, with effort to attain killing quotas, which in turn would lead to promotions and rewards. Others
Naay fireworks,
felt
guys.
that
Naay fireworks. Naay fireworks. Wala, kabalo na ay fireworks.
repeated promises of immunity.
Saba man eh. Fireworks ba?
Football ba ka, gang? Grabe siya naka-power. Si ma'am. Kanina po yun siya nag-report. Ha? Wala na ako nag-report ko. Wala. Wait, so... Friend ka na, partner pa mo. Makaibig ka ng friend ka na favor na yung friend. Na... Ngayon. Ano na ako friend kaya mag-interview mo din ko friend. Kalimutan.
So nag-interview.
In 7 minutes. Okay, please go.
Pinaka-applicable ito sa mga babae. Ladies, kaya hindi na ako naniniwala kapag may nagsabi sa akin na gusto nila ako because some people nowadays are just good in telling sweet words but can't prove it in actions. Pinaka-applicable ito sa mga babae. Ladies, listen. This one is for y'all. Okay, ladies, quiz. Bakit importante ang words? Bakit? Para hindi confusing yung actions. Gets? Para hindi kayo nag-a-assume. Tama, tama. Ang importance ng actions is assurance. Na yung bawat banggit ng salita, may patunay. Very good. So, anong dapat gawin, ladies? Anong dapat gawin? Kapag may nagpaparamdam, anong tatanungin? Intentions. Very good. Bakit kailangan tanungin ang intentions? For what? For clarity. Very good. Yan ang gusto ko. Nakikinig. Now, ladies, even if after asking questions, asking intentions for clarity, if your situation is still confusing, anong dapat gawin? Sipat. Very good. Parang masama sa loob mong sabihin. Actually, yun lang naman talaga yun eh. Mga babae, yun lang yun. The difference between a man who wants to love you versus a man who just wants to fuck you is yung paninindigan. Kaya kang panindigan. Kayang panindigan yung mga salita na binitawan. Ayan. Ngayon, in return, ladies, in return, kapag may lalaking straightforward, very clear with the intentions, plus kayang improve through actions, pero the situation is hindi nyo gusto, anong gagawin? Anong gagawin, ladies?
Liwas.
Reject. Yan. Very good. Because, bakit ganun? Bakit kailangan straight up rejection, ladies? Kasi, Kung hindi nyo talaga gusto yung lalaki, kahit anong pagpapatunay at paninindigan ng gawin yan, hindi nyo rin magugustuhan.
Correct.
Everything that this man does, kahit na green flag pa yan, maiirita lang kayo dyan. It's, now that's a fair playing field. Ngayon, ladies, another question. Paano kapag yung gustong-gusto ng lalaki, iniiwan kayo palagi sa confusing situation, but you still stick around because you are hoping that something's gonna happen through time? Sisa po, kapag nahihirapan ka na, sinong dapat sisihin?
Sarili.
Sinong dapat sisihin, ladies? Pag nahihirapan sa sitwasyon at ayaw alisan? Ikaw, very good. Yan, gusto ko sa mga babae, may accountability. Okay na, malinaw. Don't tell me I didn't warn you. Nice. Kaya hindi na ako naniniwala kapag may nagsabi sa akin na gusto nila ako because some people nowadays are just good in telling sweet words but can't prove it in actions. Pinaka-applicable ito sa mga babae. Ladies, listen. This one is for y'all. Okay, ladies, quiz. Bakit importante ang words? Bakit? Para hindi confusing yung actions. Gets? Para hindi kayo nag-a-assume. Tama! Tama! Ang importance ng actions is assurance. Na yung bawat banggit ng salita may patunay. Very good! So, anong dapat gawin, ladies? Anong dapat gawin? Kapag may nagpaparamdam, anong tatanungin? Intentions. Very good! Bakit kailangan tanungin ng intentions? For what? For clarity. Very good. Yan ang gusto ko, nakikinig. Now, ladies, even if after asking questions, asking intentions for clarity, if your situation is still confusing, anong dapat gawin? Kaya hindi na ako naniniwala kapag may nagsabi sa akin na gusto nila.
Fireworks.
See,
Fireworks. Fireworks. Hello, shoutout. Mayroon palang fireworks, hindi ko alam ba. Wala tuloy akong pang-upload. Shoutout sa'yo. Boom, boom, boom. Every Ay, nada yung mga kuno. Fireworks na baligya. Pag-drone ate, wala siya pagkabaluda na ay fireworks. Pag-drone. See, first time, really good first time. Ano ba yan, ano? Boom, boom, boom. Na, 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 na. Nag-shower na ko ba? Standby.
Your Honors, my name is Julian Nichols, and good afternoon to you and to my colleagues on the other side and to everybody in the courtroom. Your Honors, we're here today because the evidence shows, despite what we heard for the last 30 minutes before the break, that Mr. Duterte murdered thousands of his own people, Filipino men, women, and children. He was at the center of a common plan, which included the murder of alleged criminals throughout the Philippines. The plan was first implemented in Mr. Duterte's hometown of Davao. While mayor, he promised to clean up the city by killing alleged criminals. He kept that promise, and he murdered hundreds through so-called liquidation squads, death squads. These liquidation squads became notoriously known colloquially as the Davao Death Squad, or DDS. After years, 2 decades, of murdering alleged criminals as mayor of Davao, it became clear to him that this political strategy could be leveraged for higher office and for more power, the presidency. And that is exactly what he did. During his campaign to be president, Mr. Duterte expressly promised many times that he would kill criminals if elected. He claimed that Davao was Exhibit A in why he should be elected. And he promised, he pledged, that if he won, he would expand the killings nationwide. He won, and that is what he did. And as you will hear tomorrow from Mr. Jeremy and Ms. Croft, the murders skyrocketed in the months immediately after Mr. Duterte became president in June 2016. And that was no coincidence. That was him fulfilling his campaign pledge. As president, he murdered thousands using the same, many of the same, co-perpetrators and methods from his time as mayor of Davao. So he moved the method and some of the co-perpetrators to Manila in order to expand it, the crimes. The victims in this case ranged from powerful individuals to predominantly the poorest citizens of the Philippines. Now, why were the poor selected and victimized? Well, it was often because they were the most vulnerable. They didn't have the families and the power to make police reports, and they were the most afraid. Mr. Duterte boasted about the killings that resulted in thousands of deaths at his order. And not once, at any time, has he shown any remorse. He promised also, you will hear, to take responsibility, personal responsibility, for the killings, if need be. Well, that time had...
Hello? Amo na lagi.
Now the families and
Amo na lagi.
Mahalin mo na lang.
Showers ako, guys.
Kaya hindi na ako naniniwala.
Ay! Mag-showers ako eh. Mag-shower ko tapos dapat pagmagulo ng mundo. Wala man din nakasaksak eh. Payapang magkuan ko ka ng green screen tayo. Green screen. Ana, green screen. Mag-shower sa ko. Okay. Katul lang mga katul. Dapat pa. Ikaw ang payapang hinahanap. Ano buang? Ano buang? Ay. Nasabay. Nasabay. Okay. Ilista. Ilista. Dahil maminaw sa masulpuan.
Under oath during a hearing in the Philippines House of Representatives that planting evidence was his strategy as mayor. Now, at first he denied it in this hearing, but then he admitted to planting evidence in this exchange. If we can go to the next slide. This is tab 46.1, Your Honors. Chairperson, quote, so you really did plant evidence. Mr. Duterte's answer, well, that was part of the strategy. As a mayor and as a leader of the law enforcement agency in the city, end quote. His privilege, his legal background makes this betrayal of the law and embrace of murder even more inexcusable. He knew, as a lawyer, as a former prosecutor, that his so-called crackdown on crime was a criminal attack on civilians of the Philippines. And overwhelmingly, the evidence shows, on poor civilians, poorest of the poor, were his victims. He knew his conduct, at its core, was criminal. And not only did Mr. Duterte clearly intend his criminality, he openly bragged about it. Right up until his arrest, and we'll get to that later, but right up until his arrest, he bragged about it. He thrives on a tough guy persona or image that he's tried to create for himself. My friend talked about him riding motorcycles. Well, one example I'll show you is from 2007 now, if we could play that, James. And I should say this is tab 18.
Elite, never losing an election.
So, riding a Harley Davidson, shooting a semi-automatic pistol, this is the image he's trying to create from the beginning. He liked to pose with weapons. If we can go to the next one, James. This is tab 80. And here in this photo, which was published in a newspaper, you can see Mr. Duterte holding an assault rifle. And I'll just note that we also see in this photo, to the immediate left of the photo, Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Bato's the nickname, and to Mr. Duterte's immediate right, Isidro La Peña, and we'll hear more about them later. Even days before he was arrested, 3 days before he was transferred to The Hague, his tough guy persona was on display again during a speech in Hong Kong. He brushed off the possibility of an ICC arrest warrant, and he referred to the ICC, quote, as motherfuckers who have been after him for a long time, end quote. This is him on March 9th, 2025. If you could play that, James. This is tab 136.
Sa totoo lang, baka ang balita ko may warrant daw ako pag... Hindi, totoo. Yung sa ICC or something. Matagal na akong hinahabol ng mga
That's him 3 days before coming to The Hague. Of course, after arriving in the Hague, his lawyers very soon began arguing that Mr. Duterte was not fit enough for these proceedings. Wasn't physically or mentally fit enough to be put on trial or for his charges to be confirmed. But fortunately, a panel of 3 medical experts that Your Honors appointed found unanimously that he is. The point is that despite what the defense may say here or to the press, Mr. Duterte is perfectly fine. He's able to attend the proceedings today. There is nothing stopping him except that he doesn't want to be here. He chose not to face the court. To face the victims. There is no reason for him not to be here other than his request and choice. I'll move on now briefly to his time as mayor in Davao, Your Honors. If we can quickly bring up the map, James. There we see Davao in the south. We can zoom in. I don't think there's any dispute where Davao is. He was first elected mayor of Davao City in 1988 and served as mayor for more than 20 years, between 88 and 2016. And as the deputy prosecutor has noted, jurisdiction for this case is 1st November 2011 to 16 March 2019. We're limited to that jurisdiction. So that is the period we will concentrate on today, although of course before and after may be relevant. As mayor of Davao, Mr. Duterte promised a crackdown on crime. To quote, crackdown, end quote, on crime and drugs, Mr. Duterte created liquidation squads, death squads, made up both of Davao City police officers as well as non-police officers who were essentially hired hitmen, hired killers. And this system of his became known as the Davao model. The Davao model was murder, not being tough on crime legally, as my friend said. And you have to think, it's a little strange cracking down on crime by committing the crime with murder. Of course, Mr. Duterte did not commit these crimes alone. We discussed the co-perpetrators, including during the mayoral period, in our pre-confirmation brief, Your Honors. And you'll find that in paragraphs 8 to 23. I'll talk about just a few of them now, just to introduce them. First, if we go to the slide, thank you. Ronald Bato de la Rosa, who was the chief of the office, or the CPO, from 2012 to 2013. Next, Vicente Danao, another police chief in Davao during the period. Next, Christopher Ongo, who was Mr. Duterte's aide, special assistant, and important advisor from 1998 to 2016 for the Davao period, and then continued later in the presidency. Mr. Dante Guiaran, regional director of the National Bureau of Investigation. And finally, Italiano Aguirre, who is a lawyer for Mr. Duterte and for some of the DDS members during the mayoral period. And Ms. Croft will discuss these co-perpetrators and their roles in more depth in her presentation, which will be tomorrow. Let me talk now a little bit about the structure of the Davao Death Squad, or DDS. And as we say in our brief, it's a pyramidal structure. If we go, James, to the next one. Again, this colloquially became known as the Davao Death Squad, and it had a hierarchical pyramid-like structure. At the very top, as mayor, Rodrigo Duterte. And as mayor, he had, of course, de jure control over the Davao police. And the evidence shows, Para 34, we talk about this in our brief. He also had de facto control. Under him were co-perpetrators, some of whom I have mentioned. The co-perpetrators had different roles, but one of them was to relay orders and instructions down from Mr. Duterte to the DDS handlers, and also to relay reports back up to Mr. Duterte. So a typical chain of command. The instructions go down, the reports go up. And the handlers were responsible for the different death squads or DDS members. And at the very bottom, the lowest rung, the DDS members who actually perpetrated the killings, who carried out physically the murders. And they were made up of both police officers, who were generally lower level police officers, as well as non-police persons who were hired. These members at the bottom were often recruited because they had a debt or owed something to Mr. Duterte or the police, and they could therefore be controlled. And these members at the very bottom were at risk themselves, because if they did not follow orders, or if they tried to leave the DDS, they could be tortured or killed or both. And there is evidence of that in this case. I'll talk now just for a few moments about the founding of the DDS, Duterte's death squad, the genesis of the death squads. One witness described his initiation into the DDS. He described it happening in 1988 at a dinner meeting in a hotel in Davao City. And this was a huge deal for this witness. I mean, it was almost unimaginable being invited to a dinner in a hotel in the center of Davao where he was going to meet the mayor.
Hi.
Mr. Duterte was present, and he openly told the new members of the death squad he was forming that their job was to kill criminals. If we can go to the next slide, James. Please tab 50, Your Honors. This is what the witness recalls of the meeting. Quote, he, Duterte, told us that your job here in the city would be to kill the drug pushers, the snatchers, and the holduppers. That's what our job is going to be, end quote. And in private, with his paid killers, Mr. Duterte didn't say anything about self-defense. He then provided these death squad members with guns and ammunition.
Thank you, Mac.
And again, in a festive way,
Mao Di Castro.
a basket was passed around filled with handguns, and the new members could pull one out, like getting a prize. So they would each have a weapon for their new job. It was a celebratory event for Mr. Duterte. The witness explained Mr. Duterte was happy at this dinner meeting. He was laughing, and he even sprayed a bottle of champagne to celebrate. That's at Para 5, our PCB.
Basa ka na.
One witness recalls, we can go to the next slide, James, thank you. Recalled of this event, quote, he, Duterte again, said it was like a baptismal, like a launching. He was very happy at that moment, end quote. That's tab 51. Mr. Duterte was very happy for the birth of the DDS. It's important to note, Your Honors, Mr. Duterte has freely admitted his role in the Davao death squad. He doesn't deny it. Well, now he does, but he did not before he came here. During an interview with a local news station in 2015, he admitted that he is the Davao death squad. And if we could play that now, please, James. Tab 11.
So how do you react to that?
Grabe ba? Naagid sila clip ba oh? Naagid sila kwan. Nakita ko bra. Nagit sila clip ba? Grabe ka.
They say I'm the death squad. True. That's true. You know, Your Honors, in some ways, this case is not exactly complicated. That's not the only time Mr. Duterte admitted his role with the death squad. He repeated under oath that he had the death squad at the Blue Ribbon Committee in the Philippine Senate in 2024, about 10 years after the clip we just saw. However, in this exchange, he denied that the death squad included police officers in some type of apparent effort to protect them. This is tab 41.1, if you could bring it up, please. Mr. Duterte, under oath, quote,
Under oath.
I can make the confession now if you want. I really took care of it. Please don't involve the police. They're the ones who suffer, sir. I have a death squad, but not the police. These were gangsters. He says it again. In the same hearing, he confirms this admission. Go to the next one, please. Tab 41.1. The senator asks, quote, so what the former president dropped earlier, that they have a death squad, was a bombshell. Whatever name it goes by, whether police or non-police. Because it looks like what we are investigating now is the instrument used for the war on drugs, which led to numerous extrajudicial killings. For the record, Mr. Chair. End quote. Mr. Duterte's response, quote, you are correct, ma'am. You are absolutely right. End quote. It's not on a slide, but he also stated bluntly, same ERNs, same tab, 41.1, same hearing, quote, my death squad, ma'am, is of course, it is organized. That's all I can say, end quote. So that is 4 times, 3 of them under oath, that he admitted having a death squad in Davao, including saying he is the death squad. That's not hyperbole. That's not bluster. That's him telling the truth, and he feels safe.
But
And that he can bank on his continued impunity.
oh no, why? What's wrong with you,
Talk just for
Mama?
a few moments now, Your Honors,
Why oh
about
no?
how the Davao Death Squad operated under its architect, Mr.
What's wrong
Duterte.
with you, Mama?
Victims were usually targeted in one of 2 ways. Sometimes an informant would provide information on a target, and the handler would then get clearance from Mr. Duterte through one of the co-perpetrators in the pyramid we saw earlier to kill the target. Sometimes Mr. Duterte himself would give the target's name,
You look like
say who
my
killed,
ex. Oh,
which would be
really?
communicated by one of the co-perpetrators to a
So,
handler.
do you
and
still
then
love
down to
her?
the
Are
DDS
you?
member tasked with actually carrying out
Do
the
you
killing.
still love her?
But whichever way it took place, Mr. Duterte's clearance, his approval was required. His permission was required for
Do you still
DDS
love your
members
ex?
to conduct these murders. Several witnesses confirmed
But you
that,
have the next.
and I'll go through them in a
You
minute.
already have the next.
But first, Your Honor, just to react to something my friend said in the previous session. This was at I think 12:22 onwards on the transcript. He stated to the effect the prosecution couldn't even get one witness to admit they heard Rodrigo Duterte give an order to kill. Here's where it gets a little bit cute. At any time relevant to charges or with respect to any of the incidents. So my friend didn't say the prosecution doesn't have any witness who heard Mr. Duterte give an order to kill. He's saying during this time period. point your honors and my friend to PHL OTP 000-15517 at page 0002, lines 18 to 21.
Okay, you prefer next.
Where a witness is
Good
asked,
for you.
did you ever hear Sarah, this is Sarah Duterte, give any instructions for killings to take place? Witness, personally, no. Interviewer, okay. Witness, but the father, of course, many times. But this was before 2011. I would suggest that doesn't make much difference.
We prefer
Going back to the
next.
confirmations of his clearance, if we could go to next slide. Yes. This is tab 35, Your Honors. Witness stated, quote, only one person was making the decisions. You had to ask Duterte. Because if we didn't make that request, if we didn't ask for authorization, we would be chased or we would be pursued. End quote. Another witness stated, if we go to the next one, please.
Yes.
Tab 58. Quote, we cannot conduct a clearing or killing
really a
operations
dinner. Just
without his
it's
clearance.
like a snack for me.
Speaking of Mr. Duterte, we called it clearance.
I don't like to eat more on dinner. I prefer
Finally, on the next slide,
heavy on
perhaps
lunchtime.
the simplest,
Yeah.
the witness recalled, quote, different witness recalled, quote,
My
you cannot
favorite
kill anyone in
food.
Davao City without Duterte's approval.
You know Bicol Express.
Otherwise, you will be charged.
Filipino
End
food. Of course.
Tab 117.
I love spicy
In
food.
exchange for carrying out the murders as directed, the DDS members
Bicol
would be
Express.
paid reward money. One witness stated, if we go to the next one, please, James, he recalled, this is tab 56, quote, every kill, the first reward money, to my recall, it was 10,000 per kill. End quote.
Money.
And in addition to paying rewards for specific murders to the person who carried out the murder, Mr. Duterte also paid some of the DDS hitmen, who were not police officers, salaries by making them false employees of City
In
Hall
Mindanao.
that he ran as
Oh,
mayor.
Toronto, Canada.
These were so-called ghost
In
employees.
Cagayan de Oro.
They got ID, they
Cagayan de
received
Oro.
salaries from the city of Davao. They were put on the books, but it was all a ruse because their only job was to kill. So it was Mr. Duterte using the city government and the apparatus to fund his death squad. He also, I'll just note quickly, provided death squad members with firearms, as I talked about earlier at the beginning of the DDS, but also with vehicles and ammunition so that they could carry out their crimes. We'll go to count one now, and I'll talk just a little bit about count one. And Mr. Jeremy will talk about counts 2 and 3 tomorrow. Count one is in relation to murders in and around Davao City during the mayoral period by the DDS. It encompasses
Si Alvin. I built a condo there and some rental properties. Hopefully I find good at. Oh, really? Where? Where? Where in the Philippines? Wala, tapos ng live ni Alvin. Ang haba.
Yung anak ni Atty. Mendes doon, yung kumot kung nagamit na naman niya.
Ah, Cebu. Okay.
Lumalaban pa rin, hindi ako. 4. There's a that's only hot thing.
Bawal ang
Natin.
Guys, natapos na guys. Natapos na yung ano, yan yung mga families of the victim, guys. Oh, nakita niya ako na ulit konti, oh. Grabe po, buisit na.
Ay.
Duterte! Ah, sayang sila. Ayaw ko. Hala, uy, pangakoy di ako mura mag... Gani. Hindi ako na. Ah, si Atty. Belio Manao. Oh, kada naka-vlog.
Yeah. Lots of politics in Philippines. I hate our government nowadays. I hate BBM.
Magandang hapon, attorney. Hello, attorney. Saya, bigyan tayo, sir.
Punishment because they were committed, but Mr. Duterte's orders were
Sir, hello po. Hello, sir.
direction deauthorized.
Hello, attorney. the transcript. Attorney, can we get the transcript of that statement? Can we get the transcript of the statement? Can we get the transcript of the statement? Do you think it's possible? Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes. Yes. Thank you, attorney. Attorney, is it possible for us to get a photo with all of you?
Yeah, please.
Lima sila ba? Sila lima ba? Sandali, akin na. Lahat tayo. Kasama kasi tayo lahat, sir, mga barkada. Selfie. Kasama si ano, sir? Dito, sir. Ayun, sir, ayun. Selfie, sir. Selfie doon, sir. Play. Ayun na.
Yeah. Salamat po.
Oo, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Arms! Ina siya, si picture sila lang.
Yes,
Ayun, nag-arms. Oh, nilamig sila. Baka. Hindi, ina si Arms ba? Pamilya sila. Silang anim. Kaya nga gusto ko yung ano silang anim pa na picture. Ayun mo. Kaya nga.
Merong best friend si PRD na ganyan.
Madami.
Alright. Kami magkami.
Hindi. Best friend mo sa antik yan.
Best friend na sila pag may pera.
Thank you, God.
Ito may pera ko wala.
nationwide. I'm finished, Your Honor, and perhaps suggest that the next presentation start tomorrow, if you don't mind, because we only have 5 minutes.
Judge Motok, thank you, Mr. Prosecutor, your presentation and your suggestion. We have now come to the end of this first day of hearings. I would like to thank all the parties and participants, as well as our interpreters, the registry, and the technical staff, as well as all those who contributed towards the success of this hearing. The hearing is adjourned, and we will resume tomorrow according to our schedule. See you tomorrow.
Claro. But tapos na guys.
Hello, ma'am. Oh, yeah, I'm doing. We're just pro Duterte supporters. Okay, no worries. We are pro Duterte supporters, and that we are here to show our moral support to the former president. Make today the start of the confirmation of charges hearing, and that for the whole duration we'll be here.
Yeah, and why is it important for you to show support?
It is important because when the former president took the challenge of being the president of the republic, he did not also weigh down or back down on the difficult challenge. So I think this is our bit of being a Filipino and being a supporter as well.
And did you travel? Do you live in the Netherlands or did you travel?
I live in the Netherlands, but some of the supporters actually travel from all the way from Spain, New Zealand, no, Austria, yeah, and some from Germany. Actually, travel all the way to here just to show their unwavering love and support.
And is it the first gathering that you are doing?
No. It started already with upon arrival of the former president here.
Yeah.
Way back the 12th of March 2025.
Okay. And is this, how does the amount of people that are here now compare to like previous protests?
Well, consistency is key, and that considerably the number is quite reduced. I think it's also because of the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, it being winter and it's colder. basically still counts, whether the numbers are irrelevant as long as there are supporters of the former president. That's what we think counts.
And what are you hoping that will happen this week in the pre-trial hearings? Do you hope that?
We hope that it will be a successful proceeding, and that hopefully during the deliberation of the judges that they will reach a point of realization that all of these are all politically motivated, peddled accusation by the detractors, adversaries, or critics of the former president, and that eventually dismiss the case.
Yeah, I see that there have also been some protests against it.
Yeah.
Now is it been that there are turbulence here? Are there some tensions? Or?
There were no tensions earlier. At least to me, I did not feel that. In any democratic society, different views is very much prevalent, and it is just your job to just respect different views. Yeah.
Can I get your name?
Of course, yeah. I'm Alvin. My age is 33.
Would you mind to give me a family name as well?
Yeah, Sarazate. S-A-R.
Maybe Alvin, that's...
Yeah. And then S-A-R-Z-A-T. Yes, perfect. 33. Yeah.
You've been living in the Netherlands for a long time?
8 years. Almost, yeah.
And what do you do for a living?
I study and also teach here. Yeah.
And that's why you moved to the Netherlands? Or?
Yeah, that's the reason why I moved. Opportunities to study and advance my academic attainment.
Yeah.
Mainly, but for the most part, I don't really have any idea yet before until perhaps this happened, and then I felt that this is where I need to be.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And you've been involved with this from the start?
Yes.
Are you one of the organizers?
No, I don't consider myself an organizer.
Yeah.
I'm just a supporter to the cause, and if my services are needed, then I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah. No worries. I will fight for him.
Will you guys be here all day still? Or?
Since March 12th,
Yeah.
we have a place there outside the detention facility we call Duterte Street.
Yeah.
We have been gathering there consistently.
Yeah.
It's always been filled with people, maybe lesser than 10, more than 10,
Yeah.
50 or more. But
And that's every day?
every day. We have already been here through winter, spring, summer, or fall.
Yeah.
And we don't even mind at all.
Yeah.
It's the least that we could do. A very, very minute sacrifice from what the former president has to go through.
Yeah. And have you been there most of the days? Or?
Yes. I actually live in Utrecht. I don't know if you know where it is.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah, so I need to travel
So you're traveling
every day.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. And how long
exactly.
is the commute for you?
Almost 2 hours going here and back, and then it's 4 hours in total.
Yeah.
At first it was quite tedious, but then eventually I get the hang of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long have you guys been here today?
I was here from 6:30 until now.
Okay.
In the morning. Yeah. I just really wanted to be early to cover, how everything morphed from what it is now.
Yeah. Okay. And you plan to stay the whole day, or?
I plan to stay until the former president is brought back to the Philippines.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe because I never got to follow the trial in the future, maybe it would be good to have like a number for you.
Yes, of course. I'll be more than willing to fight for my former president. The best president that the Philippines has ever had.
Yeah, if you did get like a phone number, maybe.
Yes. Okay. I will type it. Sorry. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. Good. Perfect.
What do you think how they opened it today? I was listening.
It was perfect.
They come with a beautiful romance
He
story.
destroyed them.
Yeah.
He really destroyed them.
They come with
He
a
was in a
romance
no-nonsense bullshit thingy. He was like, I'm gonna finish this, and I'm gonna finish it now. For them to get rid of that. It was a very, very strong statement. I think they're gonna eat first. Magpa-selfie ko lang. Attorney pa. pwede pa selfie, sir. Taga saan ka ba? Dito lang, sir. Sa Higil lang. Dito ka nag-work ka? Oo po. Nag-aaral din, sir. Thank you, sir. Kasi, yung alam ko po yung... Yes, sir. Totoo. Very simple lang. Yes, totoo, sir. Yes, very simple. Totoo, sir. Thank you po. Ako, bud. Ako, kalimot. Uyo, uy, tao mo, maluoy mo sa ako. Thank you, ha, for We are not awaying. Sige na, ato na po. Bye ha, thank you sa inyo. Mabuhay din niyo ha. Of course, laban. Ay, nag-storya na si Pop Sarpan. Wala ko nakakuha, guys. One of the councils, Sylvester Bello III, Duterte Duterte killed someone by throwing him out of a helicopter. We should learn the facts of his case rather than focus on political rhetoric. Sorry, bago po record ko muna po, sir. So ano po ang reaction niyo po dun sa statement po ng Nobody ever visits there because only that given at the expense of growth and justice. Attorney, pwede pagpa-selfie, sir? Selfie ako, sir. Okay, Okay. Thank you, sir. Lawyer ko yan. Ulit-ulit tayo. Eh, kami naman, Belio. Correct. Laban. Sige na, go.
Kaya huwag niyo akong kakati-atihin.
Kasi may lawyer ka. Correct.
Walang makakaano sa akin.
Nagbibigot. Tawag na kami. Well, I will say. Attorney, doon sila sa baba. Nagpabook na ng sasakyan. Opo. Dito sir, dito sa baba sir. Cargo. Oh, sakit na kung report kang. Dito sir, sa baba sir. Arms. Dito sa baba sir. Arms. Wait lang sir. Nasaan ba? Wait lang sir ha. Nasaan ba? Kasi dito sila kayo nasa baba. Sila attorney. Bakit sa lisakyan? Wait lang sir ha. May van sila ayun oh. Ayun di ba? May van sila ayun oh. Hindi yung gray. Yun sir oh. Ito ata, papunta dito sir. Ito ata sir. Dito lang tayo sir kasi may ano sir. Bisikleta po. Yan ba yun? Parang ito na. Pero si dito ba? Dito lang. Dito. Dito sir. Wait lang sir, wait lang.
bisikleta.
Ama siya masakay? Wala, Wala din na oh. Kasi pwede na siya mag-park na eh. Thank you, sir. Oh! Sir, kita sa kaya nga eh. Bukas na. Guys, yun na yun. Kakatapos lang. Bye, ma'am. Ingat po kayo always. Ayos naman. Thank you, ma'am. Sige, ma'am. Ako lang. Maghanap ako ng kasama. Thank you po. Thank you, ma'am. ma'am ha. Mabuhay kayo, balik kayo sa Friday. Thank you. Ate, bukas everyday ako dito. Kung nakasakay na ito, ang saka na ako. Good.
Yung nasa mga likod ako, gusto malaman eh. Ang sakit sa atay ngayon.
Okay lang. Oh. Ako, nandito pa rin ako bukas everyday hanggang matapos to, hanggang sa dulo. Oh, sige ma'am. Kita-kita sa to tomorrow. Uy, undangin na ng work ko eh.
Interview naman ko na siya.
Gani. Grabe mo, chika-chika ganyan. Ano mo ka, verbatim, ano yung mapagka-chika? We believe. Karana igagang. Picture. Because I believe that he's the best president. Kulirahan ko eh. Ha? Ayun. Dapat na ako gamay na. Because this is the most beautiful opportunity for me. Ano tanak ka parang gilagot sa kuha. Sakit tayo muli ko dyan. Katulog ko na buwan ko. Tulog actually. Makasog steak pero I deserve that. Pero sakit ako tiin. Ha? Sakit ako tiin. Ay, friend, nila ko po yun. Nakulak ko. Dito, mangita. Kanang mga dito somewhere. Oh, ato ta? Mga to sa namin, Duterte Street. Ha? Black maganda na yung black is the new orange. It's my honor mga kababayan. Oo. Guys, sorry guys, sakit-sakit na akong likod guys, actually to be honest. Musulod, di ko musulod lagi kay. Di ko ganahan na I'm seated next to somebody na kontra na ako. What if di ko ganahan si ang naong mo niya pagka. Yeah, no way. Ano ma'am? Hindi kami magra-rally ma'am kasi ano na lang, ang amin na lang magpakita lang ng presensya. Kaya kapoy, hindi ka kapoy ma'am. Hindi ka nakakapoy. Hindi ka napapakoy. Ayun, minsan kasi nagsaksak sinagul. Correct. Aray. Tangin. Sabi nila.
Ako nakamute ako. Parang tuwang-tuwa sila kasi feeling nila panalo sila.
Panalo ba na inano nga? Winasak ka ni Kaufman yung statement nila. Paano panalo?
Sinasabi ni Conte, wala daw evidence tayo eh. Ang sa akin ha, wala akong kinakampihan.
Meron ka na kinakampihan.
Wala akong
Oo, kasi in-explain mo.
Wala akong kinakampihan, pero para sa akin, bakit, tinanong ko nga eh, ma'am, bakit dito yung final? Ano yung masasabi niyo sa mga sinasabi ng tao? Kasi mas confident daw sila i-file dito kasi sa Pilipinas di sila naririnig. Pero tuwa sila iniisip ng tao na baka confident sila ng Marcos. Diba? Pero tuwa sila sa ganong narrative.
Oo nga din naman.
Ano yun? Binubuwang nila yung mga tao.
No, kaya nga.
Sa akin lang, whether pumatay o hindi, dapat sa Pilipinas.
Correct.
Naririnig ka, ate. Ako, nakakapit ako. Kahit
Hindi ako nakakamute. Oo, walang filter. Bakit kinatatakot? Sinabi mo man yan. Wait lang ha, kayo. Kuya ha. Ano, pupunta muna ako sa ano, sa Tahay. Ay, sa Lex. 6:30 pa lang ako dito. Ano, parang siguro idlit mo na ako ng konti. Tapos, oh, ikaw, saan ka ba? Papunta tayo 3rd Street. Kaya nga, maglalakad ka pupunta sa hotel. Hindi, ano, oo, punta tayo. Tara na. Oo, Lex. Dito ko, oo. Dito lang, sa ano, sa Tahay. Hotel.